Hello. It's Jude here, and as you can see, I am looking good. Got my suit, got my tie, got my shirt, and we are in motion. Actually, just on my way home from the field, and I want to just take a quick second to stop and make this video because I had a great conversation. I had an interesting conversation. I had a real, down-to-earth, practical, pragmatic conversation with an individual today. And so I wanted to just share some of the lessons, nuggets, gold from that and pass that on to you. Because these are conversations we all need to have. These are conversations that are actually some of the defining points in our lives. When you do have them, that will support you to hit that next stage in your development, right? But the problem is nobody's going to share this with you, right? And when I say nobody, I mean the system is not going to share this with you, right? You have to be in specific groups. You got to be in specific networks, specific circles to get information like this, right? If you want to go deeper, that's why I'm always keen to speak, keen to talk, because it's one thing to hear it, but it's another thing to know how to apply it to your own situation. And that's where the real results are going to come from, is when you have an action plan to be able to apply the knowledge and information that you're hearing to your own specific situation, in your own specific life, right? And so that's where many people fall, is because they don't know how to apply. So that's kind of the point here of the video, is the truth about why you're stuck and the truth about why you feel stuck, okay? Because the gentleman I was speaking with earlier today had vision. I don't know if you've ever heard the term vision talk, but I was living in China, hanging out with some awesome people, but it got to the point where they were just always just talk about vision, talk about, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to change music in this way, we're going to change fashion in this way. But where was the action, right? Where was the actual action plan to get that done? And when the action plan, kind of, sort of arrived, where was the execution on the action plan? So the reason you feel stuck in life right now, the reason you feel like, hey, I'm trying, I deserve better, I want more out of life, but it's not happening for me. Why am I putting in all this effort, reading all the books, listening to all the podcasts, all the videos, going to all the seminars, doing the networking, but still I'm not where I want to be, and I feel terrible. The reason you feel like that is because you don't know how to actually regulate your emotions. You don't know actually how to get out of your head, out of your mind, and live in the real world, the physical reality. And when I say that, you might be thinking, oh, wait, I am doing stuff. I am going out. I am talking to people. I am building my business or moving ahead in my job and my career. I'm trying to, at least. But what do you mean when you say you don't know how to regulate your emotions? I mean, if you knew how to, you wouldn't be clicking on this video right now. You wouldn't be having this conversation, right? Because you'd be past that stage in your development, right? This wouldn't interest you, okay? So obviously you're talking for a reason. You're here for a reason, and it's because you can do so much more, but when you hit a roadblock, you lack the proper education required to walk past that, move past that. And the reason I bring in the point emotion is because you're not actually doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're just doing what feels good to you to be doing, and you use doing that thing that feels good as an excuse or as a justification to quote unquote say oh, I'm grinding, I'm trying, I'm going hard, but you're going hard in the wrong direction. It could be 1 degree the wrong direction, but 1 degree difference is the difference with me ending up in Canada or California if I'm coming from New York, right? So the reason you feel stuck is because you don't actually know how to change. You don't actually know how to learn from your mistakes. You don't actually know how to learn from your situation, right? Because the way the world works is through the way the best, the most successful people will speak career-wise and, system-wise. The way that they're able to get to where they are is because they know how to recognize patterns. And if you are unable to recognize patterns, what are you going to do? You're going to keep living out the same pattern over and over and over and over and over and over again. And guess what that is? That's your cycle. That's your feeling of being stuck, right? Is your life feel repetitive? Does it feel monotonous? And it could be quote unquote exciting. Maybe you are at an event every single night, meeting new people, you're going out, you're doing the thing. But fundamentally speaking, at the base essence, isn't it really just the same thing over and over and over again? Like, where do you see yourself changing? Where do you see yourself making new realizations, making new connections between different industries, different points, and being able to take that information and create new, helpful, useful things to yourself and your community, the market? That's progress. That's real growth. And you feel stuck because you don't actually know how to do that. You don't know how to grow. You don't know how to change, right? And I felt the same way for a long time. Right? Some of you know my story, but if you don't, just a quick little spark notes. No, I used to be a producer. I used to do music. I thought I was going to be the next Kanye West, old Kanye, right? Music-wise. And I would grind every day, 10, 12 hours a day, just making beats in my room. And I always felt like I had this glass ceiling, like I was putting in all the work, but nothing around me was changing, right? Look at that point. What's your physical environment and how is that changing? Is that reflecting your growth? Right? Nothing around me was changing. And so I knew, okay, something is wrong. How come I'm reading all the books, going to the events, listening to the audios, but nothing fundamentally is changing in my life? And it wasn't until I was honest enough with myself to realize, okay, I don't know how to change. Like, I wasn't really wired for that life. I wasn't wired for what I wanted. That I have to come to terms and say, okay, I need real support. I need real help. I need a real plan. I need real people around me to show me the way. People who have been where I've been and have what I want, right? The lifestyle that I want, the family that I want, have hit the goals that I want, financially, spiritually, on all that level, and start to listen to them. It wasn't until I realized, okay, I'm trying my absolute hardest, but again, nothing is changing, that I knew I need to change fundamentally, because I was stuck, right? I was giving into the emotion of doing what came, we'll say, easy to me, right? Easy to me, and continuing to ride that wave versus getting help and support on learning how to upgrade myself. So again, why do you feel stuck? Because you don't know how to change. You don't actually know how to learn, Because your concept of learning is reading a bunch of books and trying to answer questions to pass a test. That's what school taught us. But is that real learning? How much of that do you actually remember that you could use right now, today? So if you don't have a support system, if you don't have people around you that are giving you the keys, the path, let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Because this guy I spoke with earlier today felt this. I see myself 4 years ago in him, and that's why I was like, okay, I know what to do for you. I know how we can support you. I know how we can work together for you to start changing the trajectory of your life, because I've been there, right? I've felt that. And I was so grateful that I had people around me that were able to show me and that cared enough to talk to me, cared enough to spend their time with me, to give me steps, procedures, resources to start to change the way I learn, change the way I think, rewire myself to be able to be an individual who now is able to also give back. So that's the whole point of why I'm making these videos, just to start to give you things to chew on, things to think about. If you are feeling or see yourself in a certain situation, let's talk. Like, I'm open to speak with people that are serious about finding a better way to move through life, right? Finding a better way to upgrade themselves. And because once you are able to stabilize yourself, right, change yourself, then you can help others, right? But it isn't until you are good internally, you are good for yourself, that you can begin to actually hit those goals, those dreams that you have, right? Everything that you want is possible. It is possible, but the only thing stopping you from getting it, is you and your emotions, right? Which is also your education. So, gotta go now. And it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Okay, we got more lessons from the field. Alright, this is Jude. Find a way to reach me. Everything is in the description, in the bio, link, whatever. You know where to find me. We can talk. Alright, talk soon.